Okay, let's talk about this. That moment, you're just hanging out with a friend, maybe, I don't know, laughing about something.
Yeah.
And then there's this little spark.
Yeah, that little shift.
Right. And you think, could this actually be something more? We've all been there, haven't we?
Definitely.
So today, we're really diving into an audio snapshot of that exact kind of situation. We want to figure out what the language tells us about making that jump, friendship to romance.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how the words we choose, or maybe even the words someone else chooses in that moment, act like a bridge.
To bridge,
We're
yeah.
looking beyond just definitions here. It's about the cues, the cultural stuff packed into how people actually talk about, well, feelings.
Exactly. So our source material for this deep dive, it's a YouTube video. It's called Learn English Quickly with Podcast, English Learning Conversation, Episode 13.
Right, from English Podcast Zone.
Yeah. And it's got this short but pretty intense chat about dating. Specifically, someone asking directly, like, will you be my boyfriend or girlfriend?
Which is interesting in itself.
Totally. So our mission really is to dig into why certain phrases are used,
Yeah.
what they imply, and crucially, the cultural background that makes asking so directly feel, well, maybe a bit surprising to some of us.
It really shines a light on how we handle those turning points, those really pivotal moments in relationships. This dialogue, it's a great case study for pulling apart the language involved.
Okay, so let's paint the picture.
Uh-huh.
You've got one person who's obviously set something up, made it private.
Intentional.
Right. The other person shows up, seems a bit confused, like, hey, you're early. Where is everybody?
Mm-hmm.
And the first person says, well, I told them not to come. Made a reservation just for the two of us. Thought we could have a quiet evening all to ourselves.
Wow, okay.
You feel the vibe shift immediately, don't you?
Right.
Like, okay, this isn't just grabbing a casual coffee.
That intentional setup, it says so much without saying much, It's a big nonverbal cue that something's up.
And then comes the big moment, the actual words. Jennifer, there's something I want to ask you. Here's the thing. I've always seen you as more than just a friend, and I can't take it anymore.
Whoa, that's putting it out there. A bold move, like you said.
It really is. And Jennifer's reaction, it's just classic surprise. First, oh, why? Then this really shocked. Are you serious? We've been friends for years. We can't just change that overnight.
You can practically hear her processing it. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. And the hosts of the original podcast, they were clearly a bit taken aback, too, by how direct it was. They were wondering, okay, what happens now?
And that directness, yeah, we definitely need to unpack that culturally. But maybe before we get there, let's break down some of the key phrases from just that first part.
Good idea, like a toolkit for this kind of conversation.
Exactly. Build up our understanding.
Okay, first one. Here's the thing. It sounds so everyday, doesn't it?
Very casual.
But the original host pointed out, it's like a little flag. It signals you're about to say the main thing, maybe something important, or even kind of difficult.
Right.
They had those slightly funny examples like, here's the thing, people don't like you. Hopefully you're not saying that.
Yeah, probably not ideal.
Or the more relatable one, here's the thing, we're behind in our podcasting. It's just a heads up, really.
Yeah, linguistically, it's what we'd call a discourse marker. It basically primes the listener, gets them ready for something potentially unexpected or important, like saying, okay, pay attention now.
Gotcha. Okay, next. I can't take it anymore. That one feels heavy.
It does. Lots of emotion packed in there.
Like hitting your limit, right? Feeling you just can't keep going with things as they are.
Right.
The examples they used a loud neighbor driving you crazy or a boss who won't stop yelling, wanting to quit.
Yeah, they all capture that sense of being completely fed up at a breaking point.
It gives a real sense of urgency, like this has to change now, and frustration.
Absolutely. The intensity there suggests something's been building up inside for a while. It's not just a casual thought. It's like an emotional necessity to finally say it.
Okay, then Jennifer's reaction. Are you serious?
The surprise.
Yeah, total disbelief. The host explained it's just an informal way to say really or express astonishment. And they mentioned it might be more common with younger speakers.
Seems plausible.
That feeling of being completely blindsided.
And the informality of, are you serious? Actually kind of highlights how close the friendship was. It's a very direct, unfiltered reaction because it's coming from someone she knows so well, but saying something totally unexpected.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last bit from that initial exchange was the speaker explaining why now. I know I never had the guts to tell you until today. Let's talk about guts.
Right. Bravery, courage.
Yeah. The examples were good. Not having the guts for skydiving or maybe giving a big speech.
Or saying no to your boss, that takes guts.
Definitely. And the original host made that interesting point about the double meaning guts, also meaning, well, your insides, your organs.
Yeah.
So saying you need guts to do something really emphasizes that inner strength, that sort of deep down courage needed to overcome fear and just say it.
That physical connection is telling, isn't it? It suggests it really took something, a real effort against vulnerability, to get those words out. It wasn't easy.
Definitely not.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've pulled apart those phrases. Maybe let's just listen to that bit of audio again now that we've got those meanings fresh in our minds.
Good idea. Hearing them flow together in context should help cement it.
Plays the slowed down audio excerpt. Hey, you're early. Where's everyone? Well, I told them not to come. I made a reservation just for the two of us. I thought we could have a quiet evening all to ourselves. Oh, why? Jennifer, there's something I want to ask you. Sure. What is it? Okay, here's the thing. I've always seen you as more than just a friend, and I can't take it anymore. I know you better than anyone. I know the pros and cons of your personality. I even know what side of the bed is yours. I think we would be great together, don't you? Are you serious? We've been friends for years. We can't just change that overnight. I know I never had the guts to tell you until today, so what do you say? Are you willing to give me a shot? All right, Sirboard. Hearing it like that, a bit slower, you really pick up on those shifts, don't you?
You do. It lands differently now.
So the original podcast also pulled out some phrases from the second half of that bit. First one was just for the two of us.
That setup phrase.
They explained it simply means, you and me only, emphasizes that exclusivity. And they pointed out you could say just the four of us or whatever number if you're talking about a specific small group.
Right. It's about drawing a line around who's included.
It's a very clear signal of intent in this context, isn't it? Moving away from the usual group friendship dynamic to something else.
Definitely. It creates that specific personal space.
And building right on that is the next phrase, all to ourselves.
Yeah, doubling down on the privacy.
Meaning having something completely, totally alone, no sharing required. The example was having the house to yourself when your parents are out.
The glorious feeling.
Right, or wanting to eat a whole cake by yourself. It just really hammers home that desire for a special, uninterrupted moment.
All to ourselves definitely amps up the intimacy factor. It suggests wanting undivided attention, a connection without any outside noise.
Okay, then the speaker says, I've always seen you as more than just a friend.
The core statement.
The hosts highlighted how this phrase describes a perception held over time, not just a sudden idea.
Right, it's not impulsive.
They gave examples like, I've always seen you as a really good friend, or maybe in a work context, I've always seen you as leader. It shows the feelings have history they've developed.
Which adds weight to the whole declaration, doesn't it? It suggests this consistent feeling underneath the surface that's finally boiling over. It implies a deeper observation and appreciation over time.
Exactly. And then the final key phrase from that section is the ask. Are you willing to give me a shot?
The request.
To give someone a shot, like the host said, just means give them a chance, an opportunity. Examples were wanting a shot to make a drawing better, or maybe getting hired for a job, even if the interviewer was hesitant at first.
Right, taking a chance on someone or something?
So here, it's a really direct request for a chance at romance. And it kind of acknowledges that, yeah, this is different from how things have been.
It is. It's quite vulnerable, actually. It accepts the risk involved in trying to change the relationship's nature. It's basically saying, let me try and show you this could work.
Which brings us perfectly to that really interesting cultural point the English Podcast Zone hosts brought up.
Yeah, about how common this actually is.
Right. They observed that asking directly, point blank, will you be my boyfriend? Or will you be my girlfriend? Well, it's maybe less common now for adults in a lot of English-speaking places.
That's a really key insight, I think. The formality of it, while perfectly understandable, might feel a bit traditional, maybe, for some contemporary English speakers.
Exactly. They suggested that often now relationships just sort of evolve more organically.
Less definition, more drift.
Kind of, yeah. You start spending more one-on-one time, maybe things get a bit more physical or affectionate, and eventually it's just understood. You're a couple.
Yeah.
But without that one specific, okay, we are officially dating now, conversation.
It relies more on, what, reading signals?
Yeah.
Subtle cues? Shared experiences building up over time rather than that explicit verbal contract, almost?
Yeah, exactly. But, and this is important, they were quick to point out that this kind of directness, this formality, absolutely does exist in other cultures.
Oh, for sure.
And it even used to be more common in English-speaking countries. They brought up going steady,
Ah, yeah,
where
close.
you'd literally ask someone, will you go steady with me? That was the specific phrase to become an exclusive couple. It really shows how these norms change, doesn't it?
That historical angle is great. It's a good reminder that how we talk about relationships isn't fixed. It shifts with society. What was normal 50 years ago might feel quaint now.
And it was cool. They actually asked their listeners to share how things work in their countries. You know, the details of asking someone out, or maybe what role a first kiss plays in defining things.
That's fascinating.
Just underlines that there's no single right way this happens globally.
Not at all. That diversity in how relationships start and get defined really shows the deep link between language, culture, social habits, and how we express ourselves personally. So much of it is culturally shaped.
So, wrapping this up a bit,
Yeah.
we've really dug into this one short dialogue. We pulled out those key phrases. Here's the thing, for introducing something important.
I can't take it anymore for that peak emotion.
Are you serious? Showing that shock?
Never had the guts revealing the vulnerability.
Right, and then just the two of us, and all to ourselves for that exclusivity.
I've always seen you as showing that history.
And finally, give me a shot, the direct ask for a chance.
And maybe even more significantly, we've touched on the whole cultural side of it, how this very direct approach compares to the more implicit way relationships sometimes develop now in places like the US or UK versus maybe other times or other cultures.
It really gets you thinking, though, right? If language around relationships keeps changing, what will those big defining moments sound like for future generations?
That's a great question.
And if these really direct declarations are maybe less common now, what are the subtle cues we're leaning on more heavily? How do we signal that shift from just friends to something
Oh,
more? It's like learning a whole unspoken language, too.
precisely. And paying attention to these shifts, both in the words we use and the cultural contexts they sit in, it just gives us a richer way to understand not just romantic communication, but human connection in general, wouldn't you say?